Good afternoon, everybody, and the happiest of Fridays to you. I'm Fox 19 Now First Alert Meteorologist Brad Maushart. We'll give everybody a few more seconds to hop on here. Hopefully you're not too waterlogged after our rainfall that's been pushing through this morning. We could see downtown behind me, which is always nice because you couldn't just a few minutes ago. It was pretty nasty out there. That what has pushed through just a few minutes ago here downtown across the heart of the tri-state, that is the last of any kind of intense rainfall we're going to see until maybe late tonight. Even that chance is pretty spotty. So most of the rest of our Friday is going to be in good shape. Good weather on the way for the rest of the day, but it's only a brief reprieve because, as you know, what we've been talking about, things are going to pick back up into the weekend. Not just a flooding threat. That is a big threat with how saturated it's been. But we also have a pretty good chance tomorrow night to see some damaging wind. And the issue with that, too, and we'll get into it when we talk more about Saturday specifically, is when you're talking, how saturated it's been, the ground is really soft outside. It doesn't take a whole lot of wind, Damaging wind on a bad day, it can do a lot of damage. But when you have saturated ground, that's a lot easier to knock over trees and whatnot with that soft ground. So we'll talk more about Saturday's threat coming up here in just a bit. See if people are getting on here. I'm back on YouTube today. Was locked out yesterday. We've gotten that all figured out, and we're back, baby. If you've been out and about, like I said, it's been pretty soggy, but we are going to turn things around for the rest of our Friday outside. Let's talk some weather numbers, shall we? Weather number today, 2.22, a nice even number there. Didn't really plan it that way, but we have seen rainfall, measured precipitation for the last 6 days at the airport. I think, I'd have to go back and double check, but I think the record for this year for consecutive days with measurable precipitation, I thought it was like 6 or 7 days. Maybe I'll check that on the fly here in a second. But either way, the last 6 days we've seen measurable precipitation, some days worse than others. Yesterday we picked up 1/3 of an inch about. That put us at 2.22. I know that seems really soggy. It seems like a lot of days in a row. But it's not even close to our biggest rainfall total so far this year. That was 4.81 inches of rainfall over a 6-day span. That ended back on April the 7th. And even for this stretch of days, trying to get real nitpicky about the record keeping, I just pulled out the 12th to the 17th. All the 12th to 17th, those 6-day stretches running all the way back through history, and we weren't even close to that either. I think it was the 8th biggest rainfall total for that particular stretch of days that we have seen. Of course, we'll add today to it. We'll see. Maybe we can skew those numbers just high enough to maybe make it into the top 5. But the biggest for the 12th to the 17th, if you were around in 1962, that was the soggiest stretch, more than double what we've seen so far here just the last 6 days. So not even close outside, and we have several rain opportunities to go. Like I said, we have 6 consecutive days down. We have several more chances. Saturday, we've already seen rainfall today, so make that day number 7. Day number 8 is likely through the day Saturday. Sunday, probably day number 9. So it's probably going to be our longest stretch here, longest consecutive streak of days with precipitation measured at the airport. Saturday, like I said, the chances, the rest of our Friday looks pretty good for the most part. We'll talk about tonight because there is a chance late this evening around or just after sunset we could see a few stray downpours try to pop up along a stationary front. But most of us, more of us than not, will have a nice dry stretch through the rest of the afternoon. If you can dry out enough to get some of the yard work in, today is the day to do it. If you can. If not, you're going to have to wait until probably Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week. That'll be the next driest stretch, but you're going to pay for it in sweat because it will be a lot warmer out there. Today, again, chances going down for the rest of this afternoon. Tonight, things start to ramp up through the overnight, and especially into Saturday. That's our next big day of rain chances. We got the boat going by here, riverboat coming up the river. A little bit more pleasant cruising conditions. It was just about a half an hour ago before we started this stream. It was pretty nasty downtown. It was really tough to see downtown even from this camera. It would not have been a great day to be on the boat, especially not on the top deck of the riverboat there heading up. 74 degrees. It's still gloomy. Like I said, sooner the better if you want to get outside and get some chores in. Because we are drying back out and temperatures are as cool as they're going to be. We're going to be back in the mid-80s, in some spots, some upper 80s this afternoon. Feels like temperatures mid-90s. It's going to be soupy. We have a lot of moisture in the air. Heat index already up to 81 in Hamilton, 82 in Middletown, and off to the west you can see where the sun has popped out. It already feels like 92 degrees back in Evansville, 86 in Louisville. So the warm-up is coming for this afternoon. Drier weather is arriving too, and you can see what has moved through downtown I know it's tough to sit up there, but most of our cameras are downtown too. So when I'm showing you, like, most of us are dry, but you can't see down in the camera image. It's tough, to make that message clear. But most of us are dry right now. It's just that one little swath of rain pushing through the heart of downtown. A few more spotty showers up there to the northwest. And off to the west, it is drying back out. Bloomington, Louisville, especially down towards Evansville. It's mostly sunny right now in Evansville. There is a stationary front. They call it that because it doesn't move. It is stalled out right over the heart of the tri-state. We are, like I said, it's good to be kind of right along the front and bad in a way, good and bad. Good news is we're not on the warm side of things, which is down here. Let me pull out my pointer. Down to the south, because this is where you're going to see a chance for some severe weather today, where it's a little bit warmer. We're not on the cold side of things. That would be a good spot to be up near Chicago. It looks pretty nice up there today. And right along the front isn't terrible either. If you're close enough to it, generally the severe threat is usually on the other side of the front by a good ways. In this case, the severe threat picks up just after you get past Lewis County. No severe threat for our area today. But being right along the front, you also run the risk of running, storm system after storm system, these little waves of precipitation through the area. So that's what we're going to be dealing with, working our way into this weekend until we get this front to get out of here. That'll be by Sunday. So keeping an eye on things for right now. The rain chance is pretty limited for the rest of our day today, but tomorrow, anything but. We'll see rain chances ramp up as early as the morning hours, as early as sunrise in a lot of spots. And better chances for those stronger storms will be in the afternoon and evening hours, especially the evening. I'm thinking a little closer to 6 to 8 o'clock. We're in that yellow shaded area. That's a slight risk that's been put in place tomorrow for damaging wind primarily. There will be a line of storms that looks to dive in between about 6 to 8 from northwest to southeast. And as it pushes that way, it's generally going to weaken a little bit, which is good news by the time it gets close to downtown and especially off to our southeast where there's no risk at all down in Lewis County. So you'll see it here as I put it. I'll pull up the model, and you'll see how it's going to kind of progress through the day tomorrow. But around 6 to 8 up here, around 8 to 9 o'clock through the heart of downtown from Wilmington back towards VV, and then a little bit later after 9 to 10 o'clock and weakening off to the southeast tomorrow. So that's our severe threat. That's just the damaging wind and the small hail threat. Hail up to a quarter in size. The quarter coin, about 1 inch or so hail. Possible. I think most of it's going to be much smaller than that. But either way, damaging wind, a big threat due to how saturated it is, because that could lead to an increased chance for power outages. So be prepared for that. Make sure to charge your devices as you're kind of going through the day tomorrow. Just keep those up in case the power goes out late tomorrow night with that line of storms pushing in. A little high-res look at what we're dealing with, and then we'll hop into working our way into the weekend forecast, because it does look pretty messy. And with that said, I know that sounds like a lot of bad stuff happening on Saturday. Oh, heavy rainfall threat, flooding threat, damaging wind threat. Even still, if you have the Saturday plans, I'm hesitant to tell you to cancel, but definitely have at least a backup for inside. I would tell people if they had a Reds, ticket for tomorrow if they were in town. They're not. But if they had something going on outside or they were going to the park tomorrow, just have a way to duck inside the shelter. And then hopefully you don't get stuck in the rain that's kind of hanging around. It's not going to be an all-day washout. There will be some dry time mixed in. Just be flexible and have an opportunity, backup plan just in case you get stuck in one of those training showers or storms, and then it's there for hours. You want to be able to duck inside for that and just have some alternatives. That's all. High-res radar showing you the worst of the rain is just now pushing out of downtown. That's what was kind of reducing our visibility, making things look miserable there for the 10 and 11 o'clock shows this morning. That's now moved outside of the 275 loop. It's right over at Stone Lick Township right now, working your way over through US 50 in northern Claremont County. This is going to be heading towards the Fayetteville area, 5 Mile, and out of Stone Lick Township, Batavia, Newtonsville soon. So that'll be heading towards northern Brown County. We'll put that in a little bit of a loop here for you, and you can see, maybe, load faster, where that's been going. So again, general track, if it holds together long enough, it'll make it way, into Highland County, Hillsborough area, maybe East Danville, and then on their way towards, eastern portions of Highland County. Nothing severe with that or anything, just some rainfall that'll slow things down on US 50, maybe some ponding on the roadway. All right, let's turn to Saturday. Tomorrow is a first alert weather day. I wanted to make you aware of that. We put that out because not only are we going to see a chance for some strong storms tomorrow with an increased threat of damaging wind and power outages. That's obviously a big threat for many of our communities, but we're also talking the flash flooding threat. Afternoon and evening hours, especially late evening, I think, that's when we're going to see the best chances for those storms. It's a model, so it could always change in timing by several hours, but generally afternoon and especially late afternoon into the evening. Biggest concerns, damaging wind, but also with how saturated it's been, the heavy flooding threat, heavy rain threat is going to be an issue. So here's tonight. Most of the day, I can even stop this and back it up a little bit for you. You will see, or I'm going to click off it and completely ruin what I was just about to talk about. Let's see. All right, here we go. So this is running through the rest of this afternoon. You can see once that rain gets out of here the next few hours, we're going to see a lot of sunshine. I know you're looking at me downtown, you're looking out the window, and you're saying there's not a chance. It will clear back out as we work way into this afternoon. It might not be mostly sunny, maybe as much as this model is hinting at, but we will see some sunshine this afternoon. That will allow temperatures to jump up very quickly, and we're not going to get rid of the moisture that's already out there. So it's going to be very, very sticky outside. Just stay cool if you are going to get out there. You have dodged most of the rain somehow here downtown today, and you want to get some of the yard work in. You're fine. Just take breaks because it'll sneak up on you today. It'll feel like the mid-90s this afternoon. Mostly dry until we hit late this evening. And you can see here, by the time we hit 7 or 8 o'clock, there's a stray chance for a few downpours to start to develop. Again, that stationary front is sitting right over top of us, and as long as it's sitting there, there's always that chance you could see a few storms pop up on it. And it's going to be a really quick development of some of these storms late tonight, right around or just before sunset. Sunset tonight, close to 9 o'clock. So about 8 to 9, we'll see a few storms popping up. Those storms will hang with us through the early overnight hours, right, and then fizzle out. So if you have the late evening plans, you're going to be out and about. Again, nothing you need to cancel anything over. More of us will be dry than not. It's just if you get unlucky. And it looks like the best chance for storms, at least per this model, right now, look to put those storms through southern Claremont and Brown counties over towards Highland County tonight. Again, not always 100%, but that's where it has it for this evening. So we'll keep a close eye on that. What I will also say is urge some caution. This model has not been good the last few days. It just hasn't. It gives you a general idea, but the summer-like storm setup we've been stuck in, it's just not good at picking that up. They're just too spotty for it to have a good handle. What it does well in is typically a line of storms. If they have a line that's going to develop and push in like we're going to have tomorrow, that is pretty good. So that's why I'm going with the timing I'm going with tomorrow. So here's some more rounds of spotty storms arriving through the overnight. Good sleeping weather tomorrow morning, maybe sleep-in weather. 8, 9, 10 o'clock, the storms become fairly widespread. But note through the afternoon, there will be dry time mixed in. So this is why I don't want anybody to cancel plans tomorrow. Yes, we're going to see a lot of rainfall. Yes, we'll see it in waves. Some of those waves could be intense. We'll see some lightning. You certainly don't want to be outside for that. But it won't be raining all day long. There will be some breaks in there for your plans. 12, 1, 2 o'clock. We had somebody ask yesterday. They had been planning an event for several months over in a park here on the east side. And if you're going to be heading to that, or you still are working on those plans, I know you said that there was a shelter that we were looking at yesterday you could hop underneath. I mean, that's fine. And look, you'll have some dry time mixed in too. I think the ground's going to be pretty soft. I think that's going to be your biggest issue with that event tomorrow. Some storms are possible, again, on and on through the early afternoon, but the big threat for stronger storms holds off until we get late in the evening. So again, more dry time around dinner time, and then here comes the line. So you can see it there on the northwest end of your screen, upper left, starting to push into Indy around 6 to 7 o'clock, right? Southeast of Indy between 6, well, hold on a second, let me back up. Between 5 to 6, it's pushing its way towards downtown. By 6 o'clock, it'll be on the northwest side of Indy. By 7 o'clock, it's going to be on the southeast side. So this storm is going to be moving pretty quick per this model, right? And close to our area by the time we hit 7 o'clock on the dot, right? 7 to 8, it's going to be moving into our northwesternmost communities. But note how it's fairly intense and pretty solid before it gets here, and then it starts to break up a little bit less red than what you're seeing out there with the image at 7 compared to 8, then compared to 9. And as always, the model tries to give us the old 7-10 split again downtown where we don't see much of the strong storm. So again, that's good news for the downtown area. The deflector shields that are magical for our area will work again, hopefully. We'll see. Don't count on it, but we'll see. But that storm threat about 8 to 9 o'clock is what this model has currently for tomorrow in the evening hours. So if you have the evening plans, again, it's summer this time of the year. There's fairs and festivals everywhere. If you have anything going on tomorrow, just be cautious. The later we get in the evening, that's when that line of storms will be pushing back in. But a little piece of good news to that, by 10 o'clock, most of the tri-state is dry. That's a quick-moving storm system. It's in, it's out. and then we're on our way to a pretty nice rest of the night. But a little bumpy stretch there where we're going to have to be safe. Sunday, and then we do it all over again. Early Sunday morning, more good sleeping weather, especially on the northeast side of town. What this is a cold front that's kind of moving a weird direction, right? It's sagging southward, so it kind of gives it the illusion that it's pushing off towards the southwest, which is an uncommon kind of a weather pattern for us in this area to have storms moving that direction. But that'll be a cold front that's slowly sagging through. It should pass through on Monday and give us a little bit of brief humidity relief, but not enough that it's going to be worth your while. But either way, better chances for rain will slide off to our southwest Monday as that cold front sags through, and we'll take a look at that here in a second as well. Estimated rainfall, again, take this with a grain of salt. This more so gives you an idea of how much rain to expect, not specific amounts in specific locations, because it really depends on where those intense storms dive on through. But if you do, Saturday night, get one of those really intense downpours to move through, you could see more than 2 to 3 inches of rainfall, right? Other areas, it's going to be feast or famine. Some areas might not get wet at all on Saturday. You would have to be really, really lucky, but there is that chance you don't see a whole lot of rainfall at all in some areas, and then other areas are underwater because of a flash flooding issue. So that's how Saturday's going to go. Either way, better chances than not that you're probably going to get wet at some point Saturday. Maybe not with the strong storms, but at some point you're probably going to see some sort of rainfall. I think I have the rain chance. About 80% of us, 90% of us should be getting wet on Saturday. Very few people will be dodging the storms. Again, grain of salt thing, just giving you a range of ideas what you can expect in terms of rainfall totals. Then we turn to Sunday. There's Sunday morning. We're going to wait into the afternoon. More heavy rainfall. Again, we don't need it at this point, and that's why the flooding threat is going to continue through the weekend. Let me see if I can find Facebook here. Where are we at? Just to make sure I don't have any other additional questions coming up. All right, what's it looking like, Crittenden? Okay, that should have answered your question for Crittenden, because again, just about everybody has a chance for rainfall tomorrow. Sunday, similar. Again, good chance for rainfall. Not all day. There will be breaks, but there is a good chance for more widespread, intense rainfall Sunday afternoon as that cold front slowly sags southward, and by Monday, that cold front will have passed us or get close to passing us. It'll be set up, hold on, let me see if I can draw on here real quick. It should be, I just totally drew that backwards. Don't look. Here we go. So the cold front at that point should be sagging off to the southwest. It's kind of a weird direction, but it should be moving generally this way. It'll squeeze out the moisture in the air. So as it moves on through, very dry up there to the northeast. Better rain chances around in southwest of downtown Monday afternoon. And then Tuesday, it's just off to our southwest again. Brief humidity relief. Because it's not long, it starts to move the other direction and push back up to the northeast, and the humidity, the heat, and the rain chances return a bit as we work our way into Tuesday. Spotty, same with Wednesday. Wednesday looks like our next driest day. I'm doing great. Thanks, JD. Hopefully you're doing well, too. Wednesday looks like our next driest day, but here's where we turn the page. Hopefully on the soggy weather pattern we've been stuck in, right, a little bit. We go from soggy and relatively comfortable temperatures back into the mid-80s to upper 80s, if not 90s by the end of this upcoming week. Thursday, another chance for spotty storms, summer-like storms, and then better rain chances. But as we turn the page here on the wet and stormy weather pattern, which again is pretty significant for this area, especially off of the southwest of town, then we're going to turn back to the heat. It doesn't look as bad necessarily from the temperature department as what we saw outside in June with that heat streak. But with all the humidity that's out and about, we are at the peak time of the year for corn sweats out there, the evapotranspiration where the corn, I brought up this fact yesterday that an acre of corn can put off 3,000 to 4,000 gallons of water in a day of moisture into the air, right? That's a ton. That's why we always have a skewed number most of the time this year, at this time of the year in Lebanon and over in Batesville, because those two weather sensors are surrounded by agriculture. So you think 100-acre farm of corn, and that's a small, farm for most cases, can put off over 3 to 4 million gallons of water. That's just a ton of water. It skews the numbers. It makes things kind of miserable outside. You really feel it in those areas. Higher moisture content in the air. So with all that still happening across the tri-state, because a lot of this area is agriculture, it's going to feel pretty miserable outside. Even with temperatures just flirting with the 90s, it's going to feel like the triple digits in a big way. We do not catch much of a break in the muggy meter That is a long comment, Delbert. I'm going to get to it in a second. Let me finish this thought, and then I'm going to read it, and we'll figure it out. Muggy meter, just that brief break as the cold front slides just off to our southwest Monday, but you can see by the time we're back, back into the mid to upper 70s in the dew point department, back to tropical by the middle of next week. So it will feel like the triple digits, no doubt. Heat index, here we go, 94 Tuesday, 98 Wednesday. Unless you see some storms to help cool you off from this, you're not going to catch much of a break by the end of next week. The heat is back. We are in the peak corn sweat season. Let's see. Conditions and variances depending on different locations. What is it about Cincinnati that seems to assist in breaking down storms? Delbert, if I knew that answer, I would be a bajillionaire. I wish we knew. Running theories with the heat island that we have in this region, closer to urban areas, typically more asphalt, less vegetation. Temperatures are a little bit warmer around cities, right? And with that, sitting down in the valley, there's a little bit, of a heat dome that sets up, and that could briefly lead to, the inversion over the area. This is me just getting nerdy and talking off the cuff, but could be an inversion that helps to set up and weaken the storms a little bit as they try to pass on through. Not every setup's the same, but it does seem like we do get a lot of storms that do break up around the area. That's my leading theory, is that it has something to do with the heat through the day. Those daytime, inversions that set up the heat domes around downtown, because nothing else makes sense for the area. It's not the hills. It's not the river. I know a lot of people think that hills and the river will stop storms or something like that. That's not the case. We get storms that push over the Gulf. We get pushed over the Great Lakes and everything. So it has nothing to do with the water, nothing to do with the river or the hills. The hills aren't big enough to stop storms either. I mean, you get storms that roll through the Sierras back off in the west all the time. It's nothing like that. All right. Either way, back to the thing. Hopefully that answers a little bit. I wish I knew the exact answer to it because, it would make forecasting a little bit easier in this area. With knowing exactly when those storms are going to fall apart downtown. Let's work our way into the rest of the month. We're not going to catch a break, are we? It just seems like this summer has been relentless so far, right? I'll look at the average temperature here in a second, and we'll take a look and see if maybe I'm just thinking it's been really bad. There's certainly been more humidity, it feels like. More dew point, 70-plus dew points this summer. That we have confirmed. We're above normal for that now. Already, and we still have a lot of summer to go. But I'll take a look at the temperatures. I don't think we've been that far above normal, but we're not going to be seeing any big cool downs anytime soon. Things are going to be warming up towards the end of this forecast again, flirting with the 90s, and we're going to see above normal temperatures there. Not just us either. It's a lot of the country, with the exception of maybe inland California. And maybe the Pacific Northwest and the northern tip of Maine there. Those are the only spots that are going to see slightly below normal temperatures here through the end of the month and into August. So again, sandwich between below or above normal and well above normal. So that's always a great place to be. Again, tomorrow, recap real quick. We'll show you the 7-day here. Tomorrow is a first alert weather day for two reasons. One of which, the flooding threat. Some areas could see 2 to 3 inches of rain, but also that strong storm threat through the afternoon and evening hours. Some spots could see that damaging wind as that line of storms presses in from the northwest. So Sunday, more heavy rain, more flooding. Not a first alert weather day yet. Don't be surprised if Erin will be in here this evening. She'll be here through the weekend. Anna will also be here through the weekend mornings, and they have full jurisdiction to do whatever they want. So when it comes to Sunday, don't be surprised if that also gets bumped up, especially if we see some really intense rainfall on Saturday, which is possible. Monday, things start to lighten up a bit. Most of those scattered storms are off to the southwest. Tuesday, just a spotty storm chance, and you can see where the rain chances go down. Here come the temperatures again. Back to 87 by Wednesday. That's our next driest day. Thursday and Friday, both a spotty storm chance. No washouts those days. And then we're flirting with the 90s, but feels like temperatures I just showed you a few seconds ago are going to be much warmer than that, triple digits, just due to all the soupy humidity. There's a lot of corn that's at mature height now this time of the year, and it's putting off a lot of moisture, so that's going to help to skew those numbers a little bit. If you're looking for relief from the corn sweats, that will not come in probably until September once you harvest the corn. You got to get rid of that first. And that'll be late August at the earliest, and then early September when harvesting takes place out there. Don't forget, always follow me. Why not? You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, the tweeter, and or X or whatever it is, and Instagram. Instagram, I'm going to post a video here shortly. I was out at a keg tapping last night. That was fun. Got invited to head out with those German guys to Oh man, now I'm going to forget the name. Canteen Beer Garden over there, just a few blocks north, basically, the museum center. Once a month or so, they tap a keg out that way, and they invited me to come be their Burgermeister out there to tap the keg. And I will say, I don't like to brag. You know me, pretty humble person. But there was very little spillage. You know, you see sometimes people are tapping the keg in with the hammer, and it just goes everywhere. Not me. I even warned there was a table right in front. I'm like, you guys are in the splash zone. And luckily, I did not ruin their night. It was great. So that was a fun night last night. I'll have a video or at least some photos of that coming up shortly with those German guys in Canteen Beer Garden. So thank you again for having me out for a celebrity beer tapper. Have not done that before, and will probably never be invited to do it again, despite my my good tapping skills. That'll be on Instagram. That's more of a, like I said, personal. Generally pictures if I'm out at a concert or at a sporting event, and you know, sending things out through the day. That's generally where I do it. It's just the easiest for me. A lot of pictures of birds on there too when I'm sitting there being bored on the front porch. When it comes to Twitter, that's mostly severe weather information. X it's 3 A's, Brad Weather, and then meteorologist Brad Maushart. You always get the breaking news kind of stuff on that. Weather, you'll get stuff like the weather number of the day, fun facts like that. So great spots to follow me. Let's hop back up here, show you what's going on. We'll give you a little recap, and then I'll call it quits because I got stuff to do. And most of that is eating lunch. And to the question from Laundley, I'm not sure. You know, it's still internal discussion. Have no idea what's going on with that. But yeah, we'll see. Still got some time to work that out. All right. So there is some storm activity. More of us than not are dry. We'll continue to dry out through the rest of the day until late tonight. There is that chance tonight that we'll see a few isolated downpours. Let's hop to that. We'll show you that real quick. Then I'll put on the 7-day forecast for you, and we'll call it a day. Let's see. There's that slim storm threat tonight. Again, most of us are going to be dry for the rest of the day. Enjoy your Friday. Just keep an eye on the skies late tonight, especially around and east of town. That's where we're going to see the best chances for a few downpours out there. It gets replaced by more widespread heavy rain as early as Saturday morning, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. Some waves, though. We're going to catch some breaks. Not a complete washout for Saturday. And then Saturday night, we turn our eyes to the northwest. That is where a line of potential damaging wind will develop and slide on in. That'll be just before sunset in our northwesternmost communities, a little bit closer to sunset, 9 o'clock or so, 8 to 9 o'clock here downtown. Luckily, it does look like that line should be weakening a little bit as it pushes in, but with how soggy it will be Saturday morning, how soggy it has been, many areas are saturated. It doesn't take much wind. Even a sub-severe storm can knock over a tree with how soft the ground is. So be careful with that. Saturday night, that is our biggest threat and why it's a first alert weather day on top of the flash flooding issues we'll see. And then we'll do it again on Sunday. A messy weekend on the way. Not a complete washout, though. Just be cautious. Don't cancel your outdoor plans. Be cautious with that. Here is the 7-day forecast. Let's roll on through. Here's your next 7 days. And again, tomorrow, first alert weather day. Temperatures as we start to finally dry out a little bit. That's going to get replaced by that nasty summer-like heat by the end of this upcoming week. Not bad. I mean, it's not the 90s, but it will certainly feel a lot hotter because we'll have a slew of tropical moisture in there for Thursday and Friday. Feels like temperatures back in the triple digits. Reds game. Reds hot. 89. Feels like temperature 100 to 105 degrees. Everybody get out there. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully my bad forecast doesn't ruin it for you. Get out there. Try to dodge the storms. Be flexible with plans, though, just in case some storms roll through. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.